Truth or Fate means Vedika Bahl by the Big Board. Good evening to you, Vedika. Since protests against the theocratic regime began in Iran at the end of December, it's been difficult to establish a precise death toll. So what do we know right now?
Well, Mark, it is the question that everybody is asking. What is the death toll in Iran? What is the human cost of these ongoing anti-government protests? And it is the most difficult question to answer because there are so many moving parts, so many different elements that make it difficult to verify and accurately count what's going on. Now, this weekend, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei publicly acknowledged for the first time that several thousand people had been killed in these demonstrations, though he pointed the finger at what he called agents of the US and the Zionist regime. Now, an Iranian official also waded in on the subject in terms of numbers, speaking anonymously to Reuters news agency, verifying that at least 5,000 people had been killed in the protests in Iran, although he gave this disclaimer that the final toll is not expected to increase sharply. So, Mark, that is what the Iranian authorities have said. However, observers and rights groups believe that the death toll from the protests in Iran could be, in fact, significantly higher.
So that number given by Iran is a lot smaller than the death toll estimated by some observers.
It is, yes. Some international media have been reporting and estimating figures up to 4 times higher. If we look at this article from CBS News from a week ago, they reported that at least 12,000 people may have been killed in the anti-government protests in Iran, possibly as many as 20,000. And they have based this on estimates from activists in Iran using national medical reports. But remember, these are estimates from a week ago almost. Now, I also want to, the same day that that report was published by CBS News, London-based media Iran International also used that same figure of 12,000 deaths. They cited high-level government and security sources in Iran. And just this weekend, the Sunday Times estimated a death toll of between 16,500 to 18,000 victims. And this is based on data collected by Iranian sources in several hospitals and emergency services across the country. But yes, Mark, there has been a wide berth, shall we say, of estimates over the last week. And yes, they are much higher from the outset than the numbers published by the Iranian government.
16,500, according to the article on your big board there. You've spoken to 2 of the top organisations regarding verification of the death toll. What numbers are they giving us?
Well, despite these differing estimates that we've seen now, most international media outlets and most agencies, including us here at France 24, rely on the data given by 2 organisations covering human rights in Iran. There is the NGO Iran Human Rights, which is based in Norway, and there is the human rights activist news agency, or hrana, or HRA, which is based in the US. As of this weekend, so very much the latest information, hrana has confirmed 3,919 deaths, almost 4,000, of which includes 178 members of government forces, and they say just under 9,000 deaths are still being investigated by them. From a few days ago, from the 14th of January, Iran Human Rights confirmed nearly 3,500 confirmed deaths. Now, all of this from the 2 NGOs, it's based on concrete testimony from families, medical sources, official reports on the ground in Iran. Now, according to both of these NGOs, though, they have testified that between the 8th to the 12th of January, that was when the vast majority of victims were killed between these protests. Well, what they say is that when the deadliest crackdown took place, when the crackdown by the Iranian government was at its most violent. But yes, I just want to specify that these numbers are lower, you might think, from the numbers that we've seen reported elsewhere, but even the Iranian government as well. But it is important to note that these are very much an underestimation. It's being very kept at a minimum. Now, at the France 24 Observers, we spoke to hrana, and they continue to emphasise that the figures should be understood as minimums, not estimates of the full scale of harm. You also have to take into account that both of the NGOs, they use a methodology that requires independent verification using primary sources, and that, of course, takes additional time as well. Now, there's also the fact that there is an internet blackout in Iran, which poses, as we can see, as quoted by Jennifer Connet, the legal advisor at hrana, it poses serious obstacles to documentation and verification. It makes their work increasingly difficult. Now, I also want to talk about the fact we have to take into account that the work is not over, it is ongoing, and it is incomplete. As we saw in our table earlier, there's nearly 9,000 deaths still being investigated, and the work is still ongoing to make sure that that is correct with the limited means. So, you know, NGOs here are very much playing catch-up with the limited means that they have. They are doing their best with the obstacles that they have in place. And yes, they are underestimating, because it is so difficult in these extraordinary circumstances to verify exactly what's going on the ground. But that is what we know as of now, of course.
Vedika Bahl, thank you very much indeed for that truth or fake.